blue-eyed boy. There are whispers in the dark, tales told in hushed tones when the moon hangs low and the world outside falls silent. They speak of a visitor, not of this world, who comes only when you are most alone, most vulnerable. This is the chilling premise of The Blue-Eyed Boy, a story that seeps into the quiet corners of your mind and refuses to leave. It centers on a chilling nocturnal visitor, a figure of unsettling mystery. He materializes outside your window, not with a sound or a shadow, but simply there. He is silently observing, presence felt more than seen, a cold weight pressing against the glass. His distinguishing feature, the one that truly pierces the darkness, is a pair of luminous blue eyes. These eyes glow with an unnatural intensity, a beacon in the night that draws you in even as it repels. He doesn't knock, he doesn't announce himself with a polite cough or a rustle of leaves. He is simply present, a silent sentinel against the backdrop of your unsuspecting night. Then, from the stillness, he issues a single chilling request: to be let inside. The story immediately establishes a profound sense of dread and unease, a cold tendril of fear that wraps around your heart. The boy's appearance is inherently unsettling, a childlike form imbued with an ancient, knowing malevolence. His silent surveillance creates an overwhelming feeling of being watched, of being utterly exposed to an unknown gaze. This unnerving presence evokes a deep sense of vulnerability in the observer, stripping away any illusion of safety within their own home. The glowing blue eyes are more than just a visual detail. They are a potent symbol of the unknown, a window into something profoundly alien. They act as a supernatural beacon in the night, drawing the observer, and indeed the listener, into a world where the mundane gives way to the monstrous. The fact that he asks only once amplifies the immense weight of the decision, transforming a simple request into a life-altering ultimatum. This forces the listener to confront a terrifying dilemma, questioning the dire consequences of either choice. The consequences of letting him in are equally disturbing, perhaps even more so than his initial appearance. Those who succumb to his silent plea find themselves trapped in a bewildering state of temporal distortion. They lose all track of time, the very fabric of their existence unraveling around them. Days blur into an indistinguishable haze, a seamless, terrifying continuum where hours and minutes cease to hold meaning. This profound loss of control symbolizes the boy's insidious influence, a complete subjugation of the victim's reality. It suggests a sinister potential, an entity capable of far more than simple haunting. The manipulation of reality becomes evident as the victim's perception of their own life becomes warped and unreliable. This blurring of lines between the known and the unknown is a terrifying testament to the boy's power, leaving his victims adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The crux of the story, the moment that truly defines its horror, arrives with the boy's final, whispered question. Do you dare answer? This is not merely a query. It is a challenge, a direct confrontation that forces the listener to acknowledge and confront potential dangers. Answering implies a deeper connection, a terrifying willingness to engage with the entity that stands before them. It is an invitation to step across a threshold from which there may be no return. The potential negative outcomes of answering are manifold and terrifying. It could be a gateway to further manipulation, a slow, insidious erosion of one's very being. It might lead to a complete loss of identity, where the self is subsumed by the boy's enigmatic will. Or, perhaps most chillingly, it could usher in other, truly terrifying outcomes, consequences beyond human comprehension. Yet, refusing might not be safe either. Such a rejection could be seen as a direct challenge, provocation that incites an aggressive, perhaps even violent response from the entity. This narrative is a masterclass in creating suspense, not through jump scares or overt violence, but through suggestion and implication. It relies heavily on the listener's imagination to fill in the terrifying gaps, to conjure the unspeakable horrors that lie just beyond the veil of what is explicitly stated. This active participation in the horror makes the story all the more terrifying, as the listener becomes a co-creator of their own dread. The story's power lies in its deceptive simplicity, a straightforward premise that unravels into profound psychological terror. It taps into primal fears that reside deep within the human psyche, the fear of the unknown, of what lurks just beyond the periphery of our vision. It highlights the inherent vulnerability of the night, that time when the world sleeps and shadows stretch long and distorted. The narrative focuses relentlessly on the unsettling presence of something that simply does not belong, an anomaly that defies all natural order. It leaves the listener pondering the boy's true nature, his origins, and his ultimate purpose, long after the story concludes. The Blue-Eyed Boy explores the ultimate price of curiosity, the dangerous allure of peering into the abyss. It also delves into the profound cost of hospitality, the terrifying notion that an act of kindness can lead to an irreversible descent into madness. This is a tale that lingers, a chilling echo in the quiet moments, reminding us that some doors once opened can never truly be closed, and some eyes once seen can never truly be forgotten. The boy's silent vigil is a test, a silent judgment passed upon those who encounter him. His luminous gaze seems to penetrate not just the glass, but the very soul, seeking out the cracks in one's resolve. The air around him feels heavy, charged with an unseen energy, a palpable sense of ancient power. It is a power that does not need to roar or threaten. Its mere presence is enough to instill a profound and paralyzing fear. To stand before him, to meet those glowing eyes, is to feel the fragile barrier between worlds begin to thin. The warmth of your home, the comfort of your bed, all become meaningless against the cold, alien presence outside. Every instinct screams to turn away, to pull the curtains tight, to pretend he isn't there. Those eyes, those impossibly blue eyes, hold you captive. The request itself is simple, yet it carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken threats. Let me in. It is not a question, but a command veiled in a plea, a predator's invitation to its prey. The silence that follows is deafening, amplifying the frantic beat of your own heart. It is a silence pregnant with possibility, with the terrifying potential of what might happen next. The decision once made is irreversible. There is no turning back, no second chances. The boy does not bargain, does not plead further. His request is a singular, absolute demand. And in that moment, you understand that your choice will define not just your night, but perhaps the very essence of your remaining existence. For those who yield, the world outside the window ceases to exist. The familiar contours of their room begin to shift, subtly at first, then with increasing distortion. The light from the streetlights outside seems to dim, swallowed by an encroaching gloom that emanates from the boy himself. The air grows heavy, thick with an unseen dust that coats the senses. The loss of time perception is not merely a forgotten hour, it is a complete dissolution of chronological order. Memories become fragmented, moments indistinguishable from one another. Was it yesterday or a week ago that the boy first appeared? The question itself loses meaning. The victim becomes untethered from reality, floating in an endless, formless present. This temporal disarray is a cruel form of torture, a psychological unraveling that leaves the mind vulnerable and exposed. The boy's influence is not physical, but existential, stripping away the very framework of identity. He does not need to harm the body when he can shatter the soul. The sinister potential lies in this quiet, pervasive destruction, a horror that operates beyond the realm of conventional violence. The manipulation of reality is subtle, yet absolute. Shadows deepen where no shadows should be. Familiar objects take on an unsettling new aspect, their forms subtly twisted, their purpose redefined. The victim begins to question everything they once held true, their own sanity becoming the ultimate casualty. The boundaries between waking and nightmare blur until there is no distinction left. The boy's final question, "Do you dare answer?" is the ultimate test of courage, or perhaps of foolishness. It is a gauntlet thrown down, a challenge to confront the abyss that has opened before you. To answer is to acknowledge the entity, to give it power, to invite it further into the fragile sanctuary of your mind. It is a step into the unknown, a leap of faith into a void. The implications of answering are dire. It could be the final act of surrender, a complete forfeiture of self to an alien will. The loss of identity is not a metaphor, it is a literal erasure, where the individual becomes merely a vessel for the boy's inscrutable designs. The terrifying outcomes are left to the imagination, a canvas of unspeakable horrors painted by the listener's deepest fears. But refusal offers no true escape. To deny the boy is to defy him, to challenge a power that transcends human understanding. It is a rejection that could provoke an aggressive response, not necessarily physical, but perhaps a more insidious form of retribution. The boy's patience is finite, and his methods of persuasion are not limited to polite requests. The story's effectiveness lies in its masterful use of suggestion, hinting at horrors without ever fully revealing them. It is the unseen, the implied, that truly terrifies. The listener's imagination becomes the most potent weapon against them, conjuring images far more disturbing than any explicit description could provide. This engagement makes the terror deeply personal, uniquely tailored to each individual's anxieties. The power in its simplicity is profound. There are no elaborate backstories, no complex mythologies. Just a boy, a window, and a question. This stripped-down approach allows the core fear to resonate without distraction. It taps into primal fears of invasion, of the unknown, of the vulnerability of our homes and our minds. The night, usually a time of rest, becomes a landscape of dread, where familiar sounds take on sinister meanings. The unsettling presence of something that doesn't belong is the central pillar of the horror. It is the violation of natural order, the intrusion of the supernatural into the mundane. The story leaves the listener with lingering questions, a gnawing uncertainty about the boy's true nature. Is he a demon, a ghost, an interdimensional entity? The lack of answers only deepens the mystery and the fear. It explores the ultimate price of curiosity, the dangerous allure of peering into the abyss, of seeking answers to questions best left unasked. And it delves into the profound cost of hospitality, the terrifying notion that an act of kindness can lead to an irreversible descent into madness. The Blue-Eyed Boy is not just a story, it is a warning, a chilling reminder that some doors once opened can never truly be closed, and some eyes, once seen, can never truly be forgotten.